The waiting room of Galactic Veterinary Station 7 smelled like antiseptic and fear. That was universal. Dr. Vekath had decided long ago. No matter the species bringing in their sick or injured animals, no matter the planet of origin or the biochemical signature of the creature in distress, fear always smelled the same. It pressed into the walls. It settled into the floor tiles. It sat in the eyes of every owner who walked through the door, holding something they loved and did not want to lose. Dr. Vekath was Tharuni, four-armed, silver-skinned, with compound eyes that could read the micro-expressions of 47 known species. He had practiced veterinary medicine for 31 cycles. He was, by any reasonable measure, one of the finest exotic animal specialists in the Valorian Compact. He was staring at the creature on the examination table and trying very hard not to show that he had no idea what to do. "Its name is Kang," said the woman standing beside it. Her name was Corporal Yun Sora, and she had carried the animal through 3 checkpoints and a quarantine scan without putting it down once. "He's 7 years old. He got caught in a patrol wire 2 days ago. I've been treating the wound myself, but it's infected." The animal times Kang times was a mid-sized quadruped with tan and black fur, a long tapered snout, and eyes that tracked every movement in the room with preternatural alertness. Despite the bandaging around his right foreleg, despite the visible swelling and the fever heat radiating off his body, he had not made a single sound since entering the clinic. He simply watched. He watched Dr. Vekath the way prey watches a predator it has not yet decided to run from. "This is a domestic times Canis lupus familiaris," Dr. Vekath said carefully. "A dog." "Yes," Corporal Yun said. "We do not treat dogs here." He kept his voice neutral. "Clinical. Station 7 serves compact member species and their registered companion animals. Dogs are a Class 3 Terran fauna. They are not on the approved registry. I cannot." "He's my partner," Corporal Yun said. Her voice did not rise. It did not waver. It simply became very, very still. "He has served 4 deployments. He has found 11 IEDs, pulled 2 soldiers out of collapsed structures, and last month he ran into a burning transport to get to a wounded private who couldn't walk. He is my partner, doctor. Not my pet." Dr. Vekath looked at the dog. The dog looked back at him. The infection was bad. He could see that, even without scanning. The limb would likely require amputation if not treated within the next rotation, perhaps sooner. "I understand," Dr. Vekath said, "but I am not equipped. I do not have the pharmacological database for Terran fauna. I do not know his tolerances. I do not know his reactions. If I administer the wrong compound at the wrong dosage, then don't." The voice came from the doorway. Dr. Priya Nair had not been scheduled to work that day. She had come to Station 7 to return a borrowed piece of calibration equipment and had been halfway back to the transit dock when she heard the exchange from the corridor. She was 34 years old, originally from a city called Pune, on a planet called Earth, and she had spent the last 6 years as the only human veterinarian on the Valorian Compact's outer station network. She was also, as several of her colleagues had noted with a mixture of admiration and exhaustion, constitutionally incapable times of walking away from a sick animal. "I've got him," she said, stepping into the examination room. She nodded at Dr. Vekath. "I'll take it from here." Vekath looked at her for a long moment. Then he stepped aside. Priya did not go straight for the wound. That was the first thing Corporal Yun noticed. Every other doctor, human or alien, who had ever examined Kang in the field had reached immediately for the injury, the problem, the thing that needed fixing. Priya walked to the head of the table, placed herself in the dog's line of sight, and crouched until she was below his eye level. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey, buddy." Kang's ears, which had been flat against his skull since they entered the building, twitched once. Then again. "Easy, buddy," she murmured. "Easy. I'm not going to hurt you, I promise." She held out the back of her hand, not palm up, not fingers extended, just the back of her hand, quiet and unhurried, offered like a question rather than a demand. She did not move it toward him. She simply held it there and waited. Dr. Vekath watched from the corner of the room. He had seen this before, the human tendency to times negotiate times with animals rather than simply proceeding with treatment. He had always considered it inefficient, sentimental, a charming cultural quirk that added unnecessary minutes to procedures that could be accomplished more quickly with a mild sedative and proper restraints. He watched Kang. The dog's nose moved, barely perceptible, that first motion, just a tremor of the nostrils as he processed the scent, then another. Then, so slowly it was almost imperceptible, he extended his own nose toward Priya's hand. He made contact. His nose touched her knuckles. Something went out of him. Not consciousness. Something else. Something harder to name. The locked architecture of his posture softened by degrees. His tail, which had been rigid and flat, ticked once to the left. Just once. "Good boy," Priya breathed. "Good boy, Kang." She glanced up at Corporal Yoon. "How does he do with strangers normally? Field conditions?" "Neutral to positive, if I'm present," Yoon said. Her voice had changed. Some of the stone had gone out of it. "He reads my body language. If I'm calm, he's calm. Yoon." End quote. End quote. Reesed. End quote. I'm quote. "Okay, stay where he can see you. Stay relaxed." Priya rose slowly, never breaking her gentle commentary. A soft, continuous murmur of times. "Okay, times and times. Good boy, times and times. There we go, times." And moved around the table to examine the wound. She worked the way certain humans worked when they knew exactly what they were doing and had nothing to prove. Efficiently, but without rush. Her hands were certain. Her voice never stopped its quiet, unhurried narration, not directed at Yoon, not really directed at Kang, just present in the room like a low-frequency signal, a constant, gentle transmission. "You are safe. This is okay. I am here." Dr. Vekath found himself leaning forward slightly. "Secondary infection. Deep tissue," Priya said, half to herself. "Wire entry point, yeah, okay. That's going to need debridement." Amoxiclav. Standard dosage, weight adjusted. She glanced at the readout from the station scanner. 43 kilos. Good. She reached for her kit, her own kit, he noticed, which she had carried in from the corridor, and began laying out instruments with the practiced ease of someone who had done this 1,000 times in worse conditions than this. "You carry a canine kit?" Dr. Vekath asked. "I carry a lot of things," Priya said. "You work Terran deployment zones long enough, you learn." Kang bore the cleaning of the wound without a sound. He trembled once, badly, when she worked on the deepest part of the infection, and Priya paused immediately, not because he had protested, but because she had felt it. "I know," she said quietly. "I know. Almost done. You're doing so well." Corporal Yoon made a sound that she quickly suppressed. Dr. Vekath said nothing. He was thinking about 31 cycles of practice. He was thinking about 47 species whose micro-expressions he could read. He was thinking about the fact that he had, in all that time, never once crouched below a patient's eye level. The procedure took 40 minutes. By the end, Kang's head was resting in Priya's arms. He had not been sedated. He had not been restrained. He had simply decided, somewhere in the middle of things, that this was a person worth trusting. Priya scratched behind his ear as she taped the final bandage. He leaned into it with the full weight of his head. "He's going to need oral antibiotics for 10 days, she told Yoon. "Keep the wound clean, dry if possible. I know that's hard in field conditions. If the swelling hasn't reduced by day 3, get him back to me, but I think he'll be fine." Corporal Yoon nodded. She reached out and took Kang's face between her hands, pressing her forehead briefly to his, and for a moment, neither of them moved. Dr. Vekath cleared his throat. "Dr. Nair." She looked at him. "I would like," he said slowly, "to discuss the addition of Terran fauna to our approved registry." She tilted her head. "Oh? We serve 4 human military units in this sector. They deploy with dogs. He paused. I should be able to treat them. Priya looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, the particular smile of someone who has spent years being an exception and has just, quietly, become a standard. I'll send you my reference files, she said. Start with the basics. And Vekath. She glanced at Kang, who was watching both of them with calm, intelligent eyes. Next time, try getting below their eye level first. It changes everything. Dr. Vekath looked at the dog. The dog's tail ticked, once to the left. I will, he said. I will try that.